got two choices for our children and grandchildren. Either we're going to pass a bill to them, or they're going to have to pay, or we're going to have to deal with some of these issues now and pass a state that is healthy with a future, of hope and promise. It's that simple to me. And I think I sense a willingness for people to dig in and make the hard decisions now.
Good morning and welcome to 6 News on the Record. I am Jim Hummel. Tomorrow is a day that state and many state workers are looking forward to, some of those state workers with a good deal of apprehension. That's because Governor Carcieri will unveil details of what he has talked about only in general terms in the past couple of months. The governor has said the state cannot continue to outspend the revenue it takes in every year, and that only deep budget cuts will help balance what is shaping up to be a big budget year of red ink next year. Here to talk about that and a host of other topics, Rhode Island Governor Don Carcieri. Governor, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Jim.
I said before,
always pleasant to be here.
Well, I appreciate having the time to talk to you because there's been an awful lot since the last time you were here. And as I said off camera, I said, well, tomorrow's going to be a big day, and you said every day is a big day.
Every day in this job's a big day. There's always something popping.
There's been a lot going on behind the scenes, and I know we'll get all of the specifics tomorrow. But I wanted to talk a little bit for the people who are watching this morning about the process, about what led up to it. You've talked, you gave a little bit of a hint at the RIPEC meeting last week about $50 million in cuts in terms of the benefits, a little bit of the social programs, the layoffs. Tell me, when you gave your department directors the mandate, how you've gotten from there to tomorrow.
Well, what we did is, you remember at the end of the budget, the last budget session in the end of June last year, I said this is a budget that isn't going to work.
And you're using Band-Aids to get it together.
Exactly. There was $125 million of tobacco money. That's all gone now. There was another $25 million of property sales in there. So these are one-off things, Jim. There's also a number of holes. They just made some assumptions in this expense side of the budget that just aren't realistic. They're not going to happen. We're going to have to find a way to compensate for that. But what I said at RIPEC, and I said at the end of the year, is we got a structural difference here. Of my judgment, it's roughly $200 million. And that's the mismatch between the level at which we've been spending and, the level of income coming off of our tax revenues, et cetera.
And it's not like the revenue's not going up. The revenue's going up 4.5%.
Actually, the revenue is doing okay. I said at RIPEC the other night, our personal income tax receipts are actually up over 10%. All right. It doesn't look at it. We reported it's up about 7%, but that's because of the historic tax credits that are hitting. But if you factor those out, the difference year to year, our actual receipts are up over 10%, which tells you people's incomes are rising. Mm-hmm. We're creating jobs, which we are, and so that is benefiting. The trouble is, that's not rising fast enough to cover the appetite for expenditure, if you will. And so I said we've got to take some fundamental redesign of state government, reorganize what we're doing, how we're doing it. And so over the summer, we had 5 different all-day sessions down at Alton Jones, all of the directors going through in detail their departments, how they're organized, what functions they're performing, and all of this. And we came out of that with a whole series of proposals that we've been finalizing, and that's what you'll get in terms of the details that we'll roll out on tomorrow.
Yep.
And that's only a piece of it. This is going to be a redesign, re-engineering of the way we provide services within state government. The goal is at the end of the year, we will be down, the end of the fiscal year, we will be down 1,000 people from where we started.
Are you at the point? I said, you were quoted in the paper saying this is still, it's a working document. It will continue to be even after tomorrow's announcement. Are you at the point tomorrow where you're going to be able to say with some specificity, this is going to go in X number of department? When are people actually going to know those jobs that have been targeted?
We will be announcing tomorrow when people will be notified. There's several different components of this that we will be rolling out. The answer to your question is yes. We've identified in every single department those people that will be affected immediately.
Are you at the 1,000 yet?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Not all of those are going to be announcements, if you will, of people whose jobs will be restructured.
But behind the scenes,
behind the scenes, we have all of those details, and we will be announcing tomorrow the date, which will be soon, and at which we will notify people. We're trying to put together a whole team in terms of helping our people. This is not an easy thing. It's going to be a very difficult thing, Jim, and I don't undertake this lightly at all. This has been a tough process. A lot of the directors have argued, that they've got they're short already. They can't squeeze anymore, and I've said, look, my concern is for the working families out there that are paying the taxes already. We have no room to raise taxes. We're already too highly taxed, in my judgment, and so I don't see any other alternative than our figuring out how to run the state government more efficiently.
It occurs to me, and this is your lot because you're the governor at this point, and I remember the first budget veto. You said you predicted it down the line this is going to be an issue, and you don't want to have to say I told you so. You're trying to solve in a year or two what's been building for 20 years.
Well, it's
is that
been
not
building,
the practical effect?
Absolutely. It's been building for a long time, and what we've been doing, not we, I haven't been doing it, I've been trying to stop doing it, but for too long we're just taking rabbits out of the hat, plugging budgets, and hoping that next year it's going to get better. Well, that's not what's been happening, and in fact the expenditures have been rising faster, and we're doing well economically. Contrary to what you might read occasionally, we're outperforming all of New England in terms of job growth this year. We outperformed last year. We're growing incomes. The per capita income has risen up to from 31,000 to almost 38,000 in the last 3-4 years. So we are doing fine. The trouble is we're not controlling our spending.
Is there any department that won't be affected?
Well, no. I'm hoping no. The problem,
state police?
Well, I think that it's going to be. The answer is no. They're all going to be affected. The magnitude of effect will vary, okay? Because in corrections, you need corrections officers. The census of the ACI dictates what you need in terms of staffing. But I've asked all of the departments, look at your overhead. Look at your administrative overhead. Not the people, for instance, the social workers that might be interfacing with families that require our services. We've taken a look at all of these things, and that's part of the process of redesigning, and that's what we'll be talking about.
You met with the Speaker and his leadership team, and then you met with Judge Caprio and Judge Williams. What has been their reaction? I don't want to get into specifics, but what was their reception when you outlined this to them?
Well, nobody wants to do this. We don't prefer not to do this, but this is the reality of the world we live in right now. And by the way, you're going to see other states facing the same issues. All right, I just saw today that Maryland's got a $1.5 billion deficit. The governor down there is busy trying to figure out what taxes to raise. Massachusetts, our neighbor, is staring at a $1 billion deficit.
But are they on board?
Yes, they are. Right? What I've said is, and this will be something that we talk about tomorrow, that under my actual purview, there's only, out of the 15,000 state employees right now, I only control roughly 9,800.
Okay.
Two-thirds, less than two-thirds, Jim. So, and so the restructuring and redesign that I'm talking about is of those 9,800. The higher ed is entirely under the Board of Governors, and the universities is separate. The judiciary is separate. So I've been reaching out to each of them and explaining what we're doing on the executive side and asking them to participate.
How much of this has been involved in negotiation?
And by the way, I should say they've been positive about willing to be part of that. They understand that we're in a difficult position right now, and that everybody's going to have to figure out how they help in this.
So if I read you correctly, you have approximately 10,000, 9,800 that you have control over. You're trying to cut 1,000 out of that, or did the 1,000 also eat into the other 5,000 negotiated?
I can't control the other 5.
So it's 10% of the workforce.
So it's almost 10% of the workforce that we will be reducing over the course of